Hey guys, okay, so in this video we're going to talk about the 6 human needs. The 6 human needs are very powerful. They can change your perspective of another person's situation like that. These were introduced to the world really at a high level by a guy by the name of Tony Robbins. A lot of people know who he is, a lot of people don't. Anthony Robbins, the self-help guru, as many people call him. And what he did was he introduced this to the world, and he would say things like, you're in this state right now. They were in that state. They were doing the best they could because of X, Y, and Z. And so I want to go through them with you real quick. So the first one and the most important one is certainty. And this is the one that shows up a lot in people's lives. So certainty, a very interesting one. So with certainty, we get to, we end up, being kind of one of those people who won't make a decision unless we know for sure it's happening. So a couple of the things about certainty on the resourceful side is like things like cleaning, foundational routines, rituals, organizing your house, like certainty of yourself, like knowing and having confidence. And some people won't even like move forward without that, right? And then allowing yourself who you need to become in order to handle a problem, handle a situation, grow into a leadership role. Like those can be resourceful. Now on the unresourceful side of this, a lot of people that are certain about things, they actually tend to overeat. They actually try to control others. They watch hours of TV. They procrastinate. They have obsessive compulsion disorder, things like that. Okay, so certainty. Now the next one is uncertainty, right? So it's kind of funny because we have certainty and then we have uncertainty. This is also known as variety, right? So some people, the human need is, I gotta have something new all the time. And I could say that this is probably one of my biggest, and not, I understand it. I understand the need for something new all the time. I'm like the king of life events, huge life events, things happening. And they're great and they can frustrate me and all that as well, right? If I choose to. So the resourceful behaviors of this one are things like new challenges, like we're going to go try something new. We're going to go out and adventure. I like to be playful. We like to go do things. We like to have a lot of friends. We like to go out and meet new people, right? Embracing cultures, embracing adventures, changing the meaning of things, like, where things might be bad. These kind of people are really good about looking at the positive in it, right? And they usually typically have different hobbies, different sports they do, different kind of workout routines, and they typically are extremely creative human beings. Pretty much sums up where I am in my existence. Sometimes I feel like I don't really live much in the certainty side. I don't know. I mean, I think financially that happens a lot. Like we all want that, but I also know like I'm not. It's not great, and then it's like all of a sudden it's like we can go there, right? Like I don't know. It's more. I think I live right here. Now, here's the unresourceful side of this. I've experienced every single one of these. So it's things like overwhelm, like the king of overwhelm. Not really drugs, but drugs is one of those. Like people take a lot of drugs because they want to try to do things. Intoxication, a lot of drinking. I've had my share of those days, right? Changing TV channels, like never, ever. Always flipping channels, always looking for something new. Self-sabotage. This guy, always self-sabotaging things. Creating drama. I'm not really a big drama guy, but I like to watch drama, right? Just like the best of us. And then problems for ourselves that we have something to do. We always need to have something to do. Like I don't sit still very often. I'm always working. I'm always creating things. I'm always designing things. So that's kind of the big thing. Okay. Then we go over to significance. So significance is a very interesting one. So significance is like, on the we'll talk about on like the resourceful side, the good side, right? Is significance is a really big trait of leaders. They typically have confidence. They're also kind of people that are good with volunteering and truly giving back, right? And then they set goals, they achieve goals. So significance actually lives in the achievement of the goal, right? And then mastering a specific field, right? They dive in at a high level and master that field before they'll go on to anything else. Now on the unresourceful side, they have a tendency to put others down, not intentionally. And that's where in the last video we talked about is the emotional intelligence side. So on the emotional intelligence, this is one of those sides where you got to know that social part of it. Are you putting somebody down? Are you living in significance, right? Promiscuousness, let's see, gossiping, lying their way to the top, getting, being rebellious, things like that. Here's a really interesting one. And I want you to think about all these in the terms of that. These are all people doing the best they can, right? So let's say somebody comes up and they rob you. Now, I'm not bringing this into anybody's world, but think about this for a second. How is your view of that person that robs you or robs somebody else or robs a bank or does a crime or something, right? Well, if you looked at it in terms of significance, they're not getting their needs met. And I'll tell you, I pull out a gun, I am now significant, right? Well, if we know it's a human need and we know that something else, and we may be able to have sympathy for them. Now, what would your world look like if you actually truly became sympathetic to others, other situations, other people's environments, other people's, bad business dealings and things that have fallen apart? Even if you believe it was a crook or conniving or bad business or, just a rotten person, what human need can we look at in that situation? So that's a little bit about significance that you want to consider. Everybody's doing the best they can when it happens, okay? Even though they may be able to do better, that's what they know about their human need. And then we go into connections and love. So under connections, we got /love. So under connections love, this is where the resourceful side is like sharing, supporting each other, connecting through nature and spirituality and faith and loving yourself and loving somebody else, right? So those are some of the most some people really have to have this. I'm sure a lot of people have met those people that they break up with somebody and they're right in another relationship. Break up with them, they're right in another relationship. Well, that's just one of their human needs. They need that significance, or they need that love and connection, right? Now, here's the unresourceful side, needy, right? We have those people who are just needy all the time, clients to friends to family and all that, right? Those people also are self-harm. They have a little bit of that uncertainty side too. Typically, these are the people that live in the uncertainty side. So as we look at that, they also have a tendency to have unhealthy relationships, break up, get new ones, all that like we were talking about. It's not always bad. It's not always good, right? And then these are also the people that say things like, maybe younger girls will say things like, or they'll get pregnant or try to get pregnant to keep a guy, or I'll hurt myself if you don't come home, or things like that. And guys do that stuff too, right? So that is a little bit of the connection and love, human significance on the unresourceful side. It's a dangerous field to live in. Now, I tell you this so you understand where everybody is at any given moment, okay? And then we go to growth. So growth is a big one for me. If I'm not growing, I feel like I'm dying, right? There was a study that kind of linked, and I'm sorry I cannot find where it is. So I was told it, okay? So maybe true, maybe not. But what I've actually heard is that when you retire from a job, and if you just don't do anything, like you go and you watch TV, or you don't do any kind of self-development or growth or reading's the big one there. You have a twice as much of a likely chance of developing Alzheimer's disease than the person who's still reading, who's still actively engaging in business decisions and things like that. So be very careful about growth. Growth is, when they say if you're not growing, you're dying, that's like actually true, right? We're all dying in a way, but this is like mentally deteriorating our brain to the point of not recognizing things, right? Now, what is this in terms of a resourceful behavior? So lifelong learning, big one, right? Pursuit of mastery, 10,000 hours before you're the master at something. It goes from the beginning of foundation and all the way to mastery. It's 10,000 hours to be a master of something. And then we're a student of life. We're a student of learning. We're a student all the time. A great example of myself is I read all the time. I read new technologies. I keep myself involved in what's going on in terms of my fields and what I'm working with, coaching and training and technology and all that stuff and what's going on in the world. Now, The unresourceful side is information gathering without applying, right? So great example. Years and years ago, I took a program. This class was so in-depth. It was every month, 3 months in a row, and it was 2 days each month. And it was 20 hours in those 2 days, and then 20 hours, and then 20 hours. And it was so much. Like, it was the best thing I ever did in training, and it almost killed my business. I learned, and it almost killed my business because I couldn't implement. I was so burned out in a good way, right? I thought, but then it wasn't. But was it? Because look where it's taken me, right? So be very careful that you're not educating yourself out of your own industry, out of your own business. Focus. You can read all day long, you can understand things all day long, but unless you're implementing, it don't matter, okay? And then last but not least, we have contribution. Contribution. So this is a very fascinating one to me. So contribution is paying it forward, right? In the good ways, in donating to charities, and volunteering, and helping people, and doing things for others, right? That's the resourceful side. Now, here's the unresourceful side, which is very interesting. Being a matriarch, giving yourself, learning to take care of yourself, and then giving to get. So what do I mean by giving to get? So giving to get is like, they say, oh, if you tithe 10%, you're going to get it back in tenfold, right? So it's like, I'm going to give to just give, and hopefully it comes back. Now, every single time you donate, it should be strategic. It should be a strategic place and a strategic time. That doesn't mean it doesn't come from the heart and you truly love what what you're giving towards, but you don't just give to give, right? Like, I truly believed in this. There's this family one time, like, I truly believed in their cause. They had a kid that died of a degenerative disease. And I truly, truly cared about that family, and I cared about with their cause. But it was very strategic on how I gave. I gave a lot of money, and I made sure that the news was there and everything like that. Now, not necessarily for me, but if I'm going to be involved in something, I'm going to have my name on something, everybody's going to know about it. And I didn't get in front of the camera. I didn't take the credit for it, but everybody knew who led the charge. It's just all about strategic giving. It doesn't take it from the heart, but what it does do is it makes sure that I do get to give. Now, there's a difference between I just give to give. No, I'm going to give, right? I'm going to give, and don't take this wrong when I say this. I'm going to give to charities. I'm going to give to St. Jude's. I'm going to give to other things that I truly believe in, not expecting for them to ever give anything back, but it's a universe, right? Like, I know that in my heart I'm doing it because I truly care, not because I'm going to get something back, but I'm strategic about it. Every single billionaire, everybody that gives is strategic about their giving, okay? What we're talking about here on the resourceful side is I'm going to give it because I know that I need to give it because Uncle Sam is going to write it off and rather give it to somebody else instead of me, whatever. And I might get something back in return, right? No, that's not the same thing. The same thing would be, that's not the same thing, okay? That's the unresourceful. So the 6 human needs, summing it all up: certainty, uncertainty or variety, significance, growth, or connection, love, growth, and contribution. Remember, people are doing the best that they can at all times. Look forward to talking to you guys soon. See you in the next video.